Hello everyone and welcome to the very first video on my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to start your very own cucumber plants indoors. Cucumbers grow as vines, so I'm only going to be using 2 containers. For this project, you'll need some paper to clean up your mess, some cucumber seeds to plant, some labels for your containers, a pen to write on those labels, a few cups as your containers, and a drill to drill some drainage holes. The first step to starting any seeds is to make some drainage holes in your containers so that the soil stays well drained. For these 2 containers, I made 3 holes around the outside and 1 hole in the center to let out as much excess water as possible. But as long as water is able to drain, you should be fine. The next step is to fill the cups up with dirt. If you haven't already, make sure to water the cups until it starts coming out of the drainage holes. For video purposes, I've put another cup under these ones because the water wasn't done draining yet. After the cups are done dripping water, you're going to want to take your seed packet and bring it near the cups. If you bought seeds from the store, you're going to want to take a look at the back of your packet. This will have all of the planting information. For example, my seeds are cucumbers of the salad slicer variety, and they need full sun for at least 6 hours, and they mature in about 55 days. The crucial part about this is that you want to make sure your plants are close enough to maturity when you put them outside so that they will yield the most amount of produce throughout the summer and early fall. I chose these seeds because I'll be transplanting them into the garden in late April or early May because that's when the weather starts to warm up where I live. Depending on where you live, these results could vary. Another important thing to know about starting any seeds in containers is that you'll have to thin them out as soon as they start to get leaves. This means that you'll have to either pull out a few seedlings or you'll have to harvest the extra ones and put them somewhere else. The reason for this is so that the seedlings don't get too cramped in their container and so that they can grow faster. I'm going to be planting 3 seeds per container to maximize my chances of them sprouting. To plant these seeds, you should poke a few small holes with your finger or a small stick and place them equally far away from each other. Next, you should drop the seeds into the holes and cover them with soil. This soil level depends on how much your seed packet said to cover them with. Make sure that you put the recommended amount of soil, otherwise your seedlings will end up becoming either leggy or they won't sprout at all. If you don't know what a leggy seedling is, a leggy seedling is one that hasn't gotten enough light or water and in turn has become very tall or stretched. One way to prevent leggy seedlings is to provide it with a good source of light and make sure that the soil is damp at all times. Now that we've learned a little bit about leggy seedlings, let's get back to our seeds. When growing these seeds in particular, you'll want to make sure that the soil is in between 70 and 95 degrees Fahrenheit so that the seeds have the best growing conditions so that they can grow as fast as possible. After the first 2 weeks of your plants growing, you'll want to change them into an area which keeps the soil at around 70 to 85 degrees Fahrenheit. The next step is to label the containers, but I made a little mistake right about now. As you can see, the cup wasn't done draining just yet. So make sure to fully drain your cups if you're going to move it someplace. Now that we're ready to label the cups, we can move them out of the way and write down the names on our labels. One thing I usually do when labeling my cups is write down the name of the plant and the date that I planted those plants. But today I didn't really feel like it. So we're just going to write cucumber twice and stick it onto the cups. Now that the containers are labeled, we can move them to a well-lit area that gets at least 6 hours of sunlight every day. Alright, it is update day. It's been about a month since I put these in their pots. I actually have a total of 3 pots now because I had to thin one of my cucumber plants out. As you can see, the plant that I thinned out has about 4 mature leaves, and the other 2 pots that have 2 plants per pot both have 4 leaves each. As you can see, my plants have a few nubs. These white nubs, if they're submerged in dirt, will start to grow roots. So if it does occur to you, you might want to plant them a little bit deeper. As you can see in this pot, there are actually some roots in it. They've started to grow a little bit, so I might have to fill a little bit more dirt in this pot. Our third plant actually did have those nubs, and I filled it with a little bit of extra dirt. So if you look under these leaves, there's actually no nubs because I've buried them deep enough in the soil that they don't have to have those nubs. Now if we take a look at this single cucumber plant right here, you can maybe notice that the leaf edges have started to yellow a little bit. This obviously isn't a big problem because it still works as a leaf and will still give nutrients to the plant. This plant over here has a few crinkled leaves. It's because the container was actually too tall for it, so I had to cut it down. Another thing you might notice is that these rounder leaves that don't look like the others are actually starting to turn yellow as well, and those leaves will fall off, so it's not really a problem. One more thing to notice is that after a few leaves, these will start to bud, and these buds aren't flowers, they're actually baby leaves, and these leaves will grow into either branches or one long vine. As you can see, there's baby leaf here, but under that baby leaf, there's a little small bud, and this bud will end up growing into a vine like I said before. You may have noticed that in this plant right here, the buds are a lot smaller than the other plants. This is okay because plants will grow at their own pace. Some of them will be a little bit behind others, and the rest will continue growing as they did before. To keep my plants growing at this rate, I keep my cucumber plants along with many others inside of a box lined with tinfoil with a grow light on top to give them all enough sunlight to grow as they would outside. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.